Good evening, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day. Living life, loving life. Wanted to get on and talk to everybody about the Social Security Act here. And its enforcement. A lot of people are having problems with child custody cases in particular. And that's all being done under Title 4D of the Social Security Act. And the part I'm going to read about the Social Security Act here is very important in regards to the entire Social Security Act. I have a brother, David Jose, that spoke about this before. And it is in Title 11 of the Social Security Act. And what we're talking about is their right of enforcement. And if you heard my video here a couple days ago, I spoke about the entitlement to enforce these actions in the courts. And what they've done is, upon issuing a Social Security account, they have entitled you as holder in due course of enforcement. Okay? That alone, through the birth certificate, certificate of live birth, that is an entitlement of enforcement. Okay? And when we get to the general provisions of the Social Security Act, Title 11, we go down to Section D. And it states specifically, and I want everybody to pay attention here because I'm going to go on a couple words here at the end, says nothing in this act. Now this doesn't say in this title, in this section, in this subsection, in this part, in this subpart. It says in this act. And that is referring to the Social Security Act itself. Okay? So when we're talking about the Social Security Act and the right of enforcement, nothing in this act shall be construed as authorizing. Hey, David, I see you're here. I'm going to send you an invite, brother. It should have one up there for you. If you can come on. Because I know you got experience with this, and I've got another section I want to ask you about that I'm not able to find. So there should be a invite for you up there, David. David Jose watching, and hopefully we'll get him on to help out here. Nothing in this act shall be construed as authorizing. Authorizing. Why? Because it's already been authorized through entitlement. You've already been authorized through entitlement of enforcement. They can't then turn around and be ambiguous about it and say they have a right of enforcement. They can't do that. That would be a controversy on the face of the record. So, it says no or nothing in this act shall be construed as authorizing any federal official, agent, or representative in carrying out any of the provisions of this act. Any of the provisions of this act. The Social Security Act itself has everything in regards to health insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, government employment, your assignments, your enforcements, where they derive their authorities, everything. Everything about this act, including the Title 4D funding insurances that they use in these contracts in the courts to decide all of these custody matters, the child support matters. Everything is dependent on Title 4, the insurances. Because why? They have to manage they have to go through risk management. Risk management. What are they risking? Their financial assets. What are they risking them through, or how are they monitoring all this? Uncle Sam, S-A-M, all capital letters, Systems Acquisition Management. So anyway, in carrying out any of the provisions of this act, and again, the provisions of the act are the Title IV insurances, in which they discern all matters in regards to the Social Security application itself. Okay, I just accepted your request. We'll see if we can get you on this way. But again, in carrying out the provisions of this act. Hey, how you doing, brother?
Hey, big dog, how you living?
Good, good. Could be better, it could be worse, so I'm doing good.
It's good to
So
see you,
anyway,
man. I saw you doing the video. I was like, oh, learning time.
yep. Well, I'm glad you come on because I got a question for you here after a minute. And it says, in
Hmm.
carrying out any of the provisions of this act, to take charge of any child. Take charge. That's an important word because when we go to these courts, they're charging us. They are not accusing us in common law, wherefore they're putting in an affidavit. They are presenting a commercial charge. So to take any or to take charge of any child, again, a child is a derivative of their legal system. It is defined as a corporate entity as well. It is a person.
Hmm.
So when we speak about our young ones, our little ones, we're speaking about our inheritance. We're speaking about our heritage. We're speaking about the things that we pass along, both physically and intellectually. Start educating your young ones to take charge of any child over the objection of either of the parents of such child or of the person standing in loco parentis to such child. Okay, and this is where I want to talk about this last part of over the objection of either of the parents. Over the objection, they have to have a higher entitlement to enforce this than you already have by prior assignment through the application of the Social Security Administration, wherein they told you through all banking actions that you are the authorized representative. They are managing the systems of acquisitions. Remember, I just said SAM, systems acquisition management, and they are having to do that through risk management of financial assets. The financial assets of those parents is the corporate person that they have gotten the application for. So, as moms and dads, you filed an application giving you the right of entitlement, of enforcement, not the state. Therefore, they cannot take charge of any child over the objection of either of the parents. Okay? Understand that when you filed an application for a Social Security card for your little one, you have right of entitlement of enforcement, not the state. Okay? So as soon as you object, they are to stop. That is an immediate estoppel by operation of law. Any action against that is sedition by any person acting against it, and treason by any judge that is enforcing any order against that. Period. Now, the next part I want to talk about is or of the person standing. That's a very important word. Standing in is another important word. Loco parentis. We'll discuss that here real shortly. To such child. Again, to is another important word because when you're a parent, like it says here, take charge over the parent, not take charge to the parent or take charge under the parent. So when it says of standing, where is their standing? Is it standing under the parent? Yes, because they have to assert that they take charge over, and they can't do that. So they are standing under, in loco parentis to the child, because they cannot go over. That's why it's specifically worded in standing or standing in loco parentis to such child. The standing in loco parentis means they are a uniform body with mom and dad, and that is the marriage license. You've not, with the marriage license, you've agreed to a 3-parent of a child, not your little ones, but of the person. So when it comes to these court matters, you have to show that you have the right of entitlement, of enforcement of these. And if you object, you can immediately withdraw. Now, I suggest if you immediately withdraw, you automatically have a private membership association set up already where that child is already protected under your UCC1 lien. So that when you do object, if they make any move, you now have a commercial lien superior to any lien. And that is extreme amounts, according to Title 28 of the United States Code, wherein it sets a schedule of fees that you can charge these governments, these government agents, actors, imposters. Because I got another part here I'm going to talk to you about when we talk about business. So when it comes to this in loco parentis to such child, we have to comprehend that is the Social Security Act or Social Security application that you filed for your child, and it cannot go over the parent's objection, period. That's why it's standing in loco, which means in the same place as the parents. And again, the parents are a commercial entity. They are not mom and dad. They are the parents denoted through the marriage license. Okay? Now, all of this, and this is where you come in, Dave. I can't find the part on the purpose, wherein it states that the purpose is to establish, if I'm quoting this correctly, a Social Security board to raise revenue.
That's in the preamble.
Preamble to the Social Security?
Yep, in the preamble when they tell what they were creating, because essentially what they're doing is creating a private membership association in the private while acting like they're in the public. And so when they write what they're going to do, they have to write a preamble for the purpose of the private membership association. And then
Okay,
when they
so
do
that's
that,
going to be in their charter papers.
no, it's in the preamble of the Social Security Act. When you go look up the Social Security Act and you go to the preamble, it's going to say that. Which is deep though, because anytime government entities, because they're corporate, create anything, they can only create more paper, more corporate. So they create this child, which when you look at the birth certificate, every single little one doesn't have a father that's married to the mother, because they put mother and put her maiden name, then they put father and his name. So then they're not married on paper. So there's no evidence that there was a father. And so, or it's an illegitimate child out of wedlock. So then they create this ens legis that's actually just a fiction, and then they call it a child, and it's really only the birth certificate. And think about this: all of us who do business, they've come at us with this thing where we can have limited liability. That's all they ever talk about. Get an LLC, limited liability company. They're doing that because they want you to go into business with the state. The state goes into business with insurance companies. The insurance companies are taking part of the liability, so they own your company. Just like a car. When they put insurance on your car, they say, oh, this is commerce. We're taking the biggest risk in this business agreement. The state contracts with the insurance companies, or the private parties contract with the insurance company, DMV. They're all working together, and they're all getting a beneficial interest in your business. But if you do a DBA, which they say you don't need, they're like, oh no, don't get no DBA. That don't protect you. You really own the entity, and you can keep it in the
Yep.
private. But once you put it in the
Yep.
state, it's in the public now. They got you.
Yep.
Dirty, dirty.
Yep. Now
So
here's what we're
so
going to talk about. Here's what we're going to talk about business real quick. Remember, people, I've been talking about the motor vehicle operators lease, and that's in Title 26 of the United States Code, which is the Internal Revenue Code. And therein, they talk about trade or business being the specific intent of statement of penalty under penalty of perjury of what you're going to use the motor vehicle for. And that is trade or business. Now, when we go to the 42 U.S. Code, section 1320D, which is definitions, and this is under definitions in the Social Security Act in the Title 42 U.S. Code. And we go down to the very last one, number 9, it says operating rules. Remember, operating is a commercial term. And so
yeah.
under operating rules, it says the term operating rules means the necessary business rules. Now, business is blue line highlighted. And so when we click on that, it says business. The term business means trade or business. So now when we look up the term trade or business, again, we go to the Title 26 of the United States Code, which is the Internal Revenue Code. And it has the definition for trade or business and says the term trade or business includes the performance of the functions of a public office. And when
And
we
that's
see
why
the word includes, it means it includes only what follows
yep,
after.
yep, excludes everything else.
Yep. So
You know what
everything
though?
they're
That's
doing is the
why,
function of a public office. It's
think about
corporate
this.
and commercial.
That that's why they get the all capital letter name. And a lot of people say your all capital letter name is a straw man. And I say, you might not want to say that word. You might want to say ens legis, because people can attach us to stuff and make us sound crazy. But think about this. When you look at the styles manual, what you're going to find is that you can't write a proper name in all capital letters. So you're going to find that in any state, the statutes are going to say if you run a business or have a trade that's operating as a business in commerce and you don't register it, then what happens is you're breaking the law. So they'll give you a business license to do commerce, right? So when you look at the all capital letter name, it's what's called an ens legis, or a legal entity. It's a corporation. So people say, well, I'm an individual. Individual actually means a individual business or sole proprietorship. If you look in the codes, you're going to see when they explain what a person means, they're going to say association, company, trust, um, organization, some kind of foundation, or uh, individual. That individual is in line with all the other business terms. It means sole proprietorship. So when they give you that all capital letter name, the way they trick you is, if you notice, don't pay a bill. Don't pay a bill. And what's going to happen is that after so much time, you're going to get a letter and you're going to look at your credit report and it's going to say discharge. Remember that debt is about, or this debt system is about discharging debt. So they create an ens legis, which is a legal entity based off of a name that looks like your Christian name with all capital letters and the last name on it. So then what they do is they're going to take that name and say that you are controlling one of their entities that was created, but you never registered it. So they say that the little one belongs to them, but the little one is the piece of paper company that can discharge debt. Now, I'm going to explain this to y'all real quick and easy. When you go into the ghetto and you see the kids who got bad credit before they're like 13, they already got lights in their name that been shut off or whatever, bills in their name, right? Credit cards and all this. Well, what happens is that because they so-called give you the ability to charge off the debt, they're trying to hold you and penalize you in their private business courts. But the problem is there been no full disclosure. They don't tell the police that the child is the birth certificate, and they know that not enough people know. But if you look in the styles manual, you can't write the name of a man or a woman, a proper name, a noun, in all uppercase. And what they
Correct.
do is they write your all capital letter name, and it shows, there you go, it shows that it's not talking about the baby, the flesh and blood baby. But because we don't know, they take advantage. And because the police don't know, they take advantage and act like, oh, you could go pick up that child. But there is no freaking law anywhere in the nation that says that anybody can pick up your kid. Even when you look at the laws in plain English, it'll say, oh, well, you can take a kid into state care, but you can't take a child from a man or a woman. So what they're doing is they're using tricks in speech to make us think that, oh, somewhere they got this power. They never had it. There is no law that says you can do it. And even the vaccine one, the special, I mean, the public law says the same thing. It says that you can't make anybody take an immunization. But they
Yeah.
hide that one and they give us Title 42. Title 42 has never been passed into positive law ever. But
Nope.
they're giving us
It can't be. It can't be.
yes, unconstitutional. But the public law was passed and says that you can't do it. But the ones that the attorneys keep showing us is a freaking editorial compilation. They edited the freaking law and made it something else and put it out and say, go ahead and assume what you will and do what they want, and don't teach these silly CPS workers. They don't teach the police, hey, you really don't have a right to do that.
Yep.
Look at this. We got authority. But then they don't show the constitutional protections. It's some bull.
Yeah. And see, you said, I want to point out to everybody the thing about the words, you said they screw them all up and everything. And when we think about it, I tell people all the time, everything's backwards. And when you look up the etymology of words, you'll find a lot of them are Latin. And you said ens legis. Ens legis is the same thing as legal entity. So if
Yep,
you take
that's
ens,
right.
which means entity, and legis means legal, and turn them around, you now have legal entity. Okay?
Yep.
And that's what the name is. Now, in accordance with that name, like you said, it can't be a proper noun. It is
Yep.
known as a abstract noun, which in the sense of an abstract noun means it is total fiction. There is no truth to it whatsoever. When we think about ourselves, the closest we can get to describe ourselves as far as a noun is concerned is a concrete noun. A concrete noun is something that which can be tasted, smelled, touched, seen, and heard. You have natural senses
Didn't
that
I
can
tell you
pick
I was
up
gonna
on.
be a school lesson? This is why I wanted
Now,
to come
when
on here, because this guy breaks it freaking. The time when you were in school that you did not listen, he breaks it down. Go ahead, let me listen to some more.
so so when we're speaking verbally and I call out Dave, is it a noun? No. It's not a noun until somebody puts it down on paper and defines it as a noun. Until that happens, it is still only, nothing more and nothing less, what I call you. That's it. Okay. And now when it comes to this government and this Social Security Act, we're going to go back to this in loco
Parentis,
in loco
local
parentis,
parentis.
standing in loco parentis to such child. And the way I want to explain this part is we think about in-law and at-law. And the attorneys are practicing law, practicing at law. And that means we have a circle of law. We have people that are in law. They practice
Yeah,
the
some are
law.
in it, and then others
Okay.
are right
And
up
when
to
you're
it.
at law, you can only go to the border of law. You can't go
Surface.
in law.
Yep.
And
Yep.
therefore, if you're at law, you're not in law. Therefore, you're outlaw. Okay.
Yep.
In regards to this standing issue, when it says standing in loco parentis, it's saying that it's standing in the same place as the other parents. In other words, it's claiming equal rights in the corporate benefits, consideration, and detriments. Okay? And this goes the same for when I speak about any traffic case where they want to say you've been disbarred from a driver's license, and therefore we have to give you a jail sentence. Okay, well, let's amend this bitch so that we all understand the contract here says that all parties suffer equal detriment. You sentence me to 60 days, you're going to come eat with that plastic spork with me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
You know,
in-law and at-law is all about. You're going to send me to sit in that jail. You're going to come sit in that jail with me, buddy.
It's so deep because the whole scheme is about limited liability. So when they come with these like private courts or whatever, and they want to use a trade name that's not really their name, you know, their name is James John Smith, their corporate name. They want to use the name James J. Smith or or uh or J Johnny Smith. You know, they want to put J dot for an initial, and that's not the license name that they're using when they swear that they're going to do something for the people. So they try to run this limited liability scam, and then they want to say, well, you don't have any jurisdiction over this foreign player. They don't want to tell you that they're foreign, but then it's like, well, then they don't have any jurisdiction over taking my kid or taking my car. How you gonna say we don't have jurisdiction to take anything from you, but you got jurisdiction to take stuff from us? And it's really
Right.
bad because if you notice, no attorneys are teaching the state constitution. And it's
Oh,
funny
no,
what
they're
they do.
afraid to.
They won't teach the Bill of Rights because it says we the people. So the thing is that really what I found out is whatever a man or woman declares, there is no state actor that can say that it's not true. They can't,
Correct. Correct.
because only a
Here's
man or
something I
woman
want
can make the
everybody
claim.
here's something I want everybody to comprehend. When it comes to all these documents you're signing, they're professing that they're implied contracts, right? Well, if they're implied contracts, then show the other first-hand wet ink signature.
There you
They
go.
can't. They can't. And what does that mean? That means there will be no body on that stand testifying that they signed.
Yep.
Therefore, there is no intellectual agreement between another man on and for the record.
And no full disclosure, no privity of contract, no meeting of the minds, none of it. So this is the crazy thing. They're running around acting like they have contracts with us. Acting. But then you say, okay, can you show me on video where we sat down and you explain to me all the detriment that I would have from being part of your agreement or contract? Show me. And they never
Right.
have one. But here's the funny thing. Over the years, there were so many of us that didn't know what they were doing that they would just act like one or two of you are crazy. Just get out of here. You're crazy. Throw you in jail. Never let anybody see you again. Bar you from people. Throw you in the hole. Now there's so many of us that know the truth online that they can't even make a contract with us correctly, that they have to try to freaking stay away from us now because the door has just opened up in such a powerful way that nobody can fight it. Nobody can argue with our affidavits. Nobody can argue with our claims. And the funny thing is this, a lot of people get mad and hate. And they're like, oh, well, why would you say to make an affidavit or a claim, whatever, right? And I just say this, listen, the state is full of corporate actors who want limited liability, just like business owners. They want to own freaking everything and have limited liability. They don't want to lose anything, right? So the thing is that they have tricked us to contract our property to private actors for so-called limited liability and insurance scams where they take all our money and say that they'll insure something. But think about it. You get in a car accident and somebody tell you, hey, you got this nice Benz, but we're going to go ahead and just not pay you on it. I'm sorry, we're gonna total the car. We don't want to pay to get it fixed because we just think it's too much. Now, you put in all the money you want to, at the very moment that they don't want to pay for something, they will fight you like hell. But they'll
Yeah.
let you pay these premiums because you think that you're having limited liability. You're not going to get in all the trouble. See, in common law, you kill somebody's bull, you buy somebody's bull, right?
Yep.
Who in the world is Darcy, and what are you trying to say, Darcy?
So when we
Why
so when we
Darcy's
think
being mean in this video?
when we think about these judges in these courts, one of the things I want to point out to you, when we talk about the um, intent to use something for trade or business, we have to remember that trade or business first is a function of public office. And therefore, when these judges are up there, they are performing commerce
Yep,
for trade or business. They are
yep,
performing commerce for the function. They are not performing commerce as the function because we
yeah,
have no public officials.
yeah.
We
They're
are not
working in the
electing these
private
people.
doing
We are
business.
voting. We are voting
They are.
through polls and
Hmm.
statistics. And that's
Yep.
not for us. We're not part of that program. We're not actual true government employees that have actually taken an oath of allegiance to the United States itself.
You know a
Just
funny one?
because we stood in school and said, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United, we didn't take no oath to the United States.
That's
First of
right.
all, we were minors, can't contract. An oath takes a contract. All
Yep.
law is contract. Contract is law because
Yep.
it takes a verbal agreement.
Yep. And understanding. That's the thing. They want to. They want
Correct.
to. They
Well,
want to.
comprehension, comprehension.
Yeah. They want to be funny and say that. Oh yeah. Well, we got a birth certificate from you. I'm like, really? How old was I when that got signed? And is my name on it? Did I sign it? Did I put some authorizing signature or a autograph on it? You get anything from me? You know? And then I ask him, I say, and how old was I? Really? So if I was like less than one, could I consent to sexual activity? Or would it be called rape? Right? So the thing is that a kid can't contract, right? And then they say, well, your mom did it. Brilliant guy told me this, right? He's like, well, David, um, your mom was drunk off of epidural, right? Epidural, right? Like, yeah. And she really just wanted to take you home and was scared, and she would just do whatever the doctors say, right? Yep. So the very issues that are necessary to be able to make a contract aren't there because people aren't in their right mind. They're ready to go home, right? And then you think about this. These so-called judges, I show people online how I got a video from back in the day where I show how the man who calls himself a judge signed a name for his so-called bar license. Then he signed a name for an oath to be a judge, and it's two different names. So they're using trade names, and they're not even using the so-called license to do business name on the oath documents. And then when they
Yep.
try to sign an order, you're going to find they use a different name on the order. So it's like
Right.
they know that
It,
they're not government officials. They're getting you. See, sometimes they presume things that are not true. But sometimes they get us to presume things. Like we go into a room and a dude got a black dress on down to his ankles, and we hear an attorney call him judge, and we say, okay, well, that's definitely a judge. That's definitely a judge. And then you hear people talk about their case and they say, well, the judge told me. The judge told me this, 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 and this. And I'm like, really? A judge told you something? Really? Yeah. And in my CPS case, the judge ordered. I said, whoa, shucks, there was an order. Did you see it? Does it fit with the test and seal and test of process? Do you have a seal of the court? And is that order signed by the clerk thereof? No, it doesn't have a seal. It's not a court of record. It is a fake court, but people actually believe it. And so we spend a lot of our time arguing over something that's not real. And see, I didn't know all this when I had to fight in my case, but when you're dealing with these people, if you say they're making an order, you're giving validity to what doesn't exist. As a matter of fact, you'll notice
well,
that they don't even just say order, they say minute order.
okay. Couple things here, real quick here. First, you just used the word order. I want people to comprehend. I just did a post on this not too long ago too, in regards to the Uniform Commercial Code. All these actions are commercial, and the difference is that when you make an order to pay, as opposed to a promise to pay, a promise
Mm-hmm.
to pay is an IOU. It's a note. It's a promissory note. Okay. You don't write notes to the judge. You write
Mm-hmm.
orders to the judge, and then the
Yep.
judge passes that order on. Because when you make an order, you're ordering the payment by your person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's important. This is the second point. That's why it's important to do the DBA, register that
Yep.
business, and have it put in a UCC lien. The
Yep.
DBA is going to be the all caps name as you see on the Social Security card.
Yep.
And the responsible party is going to be your common law name. And that's your
Yep.
first and middle name hyphen together with no middle name. That's just your name. That's your
Christian name.
given name.
Yep.
And then your family name, and that's going to be discerned different from your legal entity, which is going to be all caps as you see it on your Social Security card. Then
Yep.
when you place that birth certificate, get it authenticated and everything, and place it in that lien, take that sucker down to the county registrar where you were born. Now you've got it registered back onto the same register where it originated from, and it has made its full circle. You are now the top authority, and it is recorded as such because you are now of age of majority and claimed your ship and put it in port, and you put it in the correct port.
Yep. Holder in due
Okay,
course.
correct. Now,
Yep.
the second one, or the another thing I want to mention is I'm going to destroy the word judge for you by their
Oh, it's
own
backwards.
process.
The word judge is backwards.
Exactly. Watch this. Watch this. Now, the people of the jury are to
That's the
judge the
judge.
facts.
There you go. The
They are to,
people are the judge. The righteous
correct.
people are the judge, just like Corinthians 6.
So the only judge I have is my man above, because I'm of his house, and the people that I see as my peers are of his house,
Yep. The righteous
not
ones,
just in
though.
his house,
The
but of
righteous
his
ones.
house.
Yep.
Exactly. And so when they judge me and they judge the facts, they judge the law. The
Yep.
judge, the quote judge, the clown that sits on that bench has got his duties all wrong because somebody gave him a definition of a judge. Now the
He's just a
definition of a judge is
magistrate.
just the definition of a judge is the same thing as the proper name, concrete name we were talking about. It's an abstract fiction, okay?
Yep.
Or abstract noun. It's a total fiction. The judge is part, comprehend this, the judge is part of a tribunal.
Yep.
Your peers are of your tribe. That
Yep.
magistrate is of your tribe. He follows Romans 13.
Yep.
As so long as I follow your way, I shall be blameless. And so long as
Yep.
those that I subject myself to be governed by follow his way, I shall follow Romans 13 and do as they say. But if they do not follow his way, I am still blameless for following his way. Deny
Yep.
me and you deny him. Deny him, you deny me. Therefore, if you deny him or me, I deny you. That is the
Romans.
fallacy of a judge. A judge is to follow in line with the tribunal. Those are the peers, those that are common, and that's wherein the common law comes in.
Remember Romans 1 Corinthians, I'm sorry, 6. And here's what's deep. The Bible tells you how it's a shame to go to the law against your brother, right? And then God tells you, hey, look, can't you let one of the lowest people in the church, the newest people with just the spirit and common sense, the lowest righteous person can make a decision between a man and his brother, right? So the thing is that even in the church, the Bible says, tell it to the church after you go one-on-one and after you bring another witness, one or two more, to establish every word, right? So to establish all the facts, all the words, you bring one or two witnesses after you go to somebody one-on-one. And that's the common law process that we miss. You go one-on-one. So you could take your notice you're going to give to somebody that they're doing you wrong, and you give it to them. Then you can give a notice and demand when they trespass and give it to them one-on-one and say, hey, you trespass against me. I need you to make this right. Repent. Let's fix this. If they fight you, you bring one or two more. You bring the one or two more, they see all the facts that you said. So now it's established in the mouth of 2 to 3 witnesses, right?
Correct.
Under the old law, you would die by 2 witnesses. So then after you do that, the Bible says, but if they will not hear you, take it before the church. The church is the group of people who are also righteous. Now, the Bible talks about not dealing with the wicked or the world. So what happened is that somebody stole the term judge, which is for every individual righteous man or woman. Because notice, people will say this. They'll say, don't judge. God said, don't judge. I'm like, where the freak did you get that from? Because God did not say that, right?
Yeah,
It's
he
like
said,
God
judge
says,
ye not, lest ye be judged in the same eyes.
there you go. And then he says, if you judge, use righteous judgment, right? So how do we judge? We judge by the principles that are written that God laid down already. Therefore, he gave us a Declaration of Independence and he gave us a Constitution too. The Declaration of Independence he gave said, have dominion over everything, fish of the sea, birds of the air, right? The creepy crawling things on the land. There's another part of the scriptures that says, and anything that comes out of the sea, you also have dominion over. Now, it's funny that the states will try to say, well, we got dominion over admiralty law. Clown, any power you got came from us. We got power over admiralty law.
Exactly.
I'll tell you how. Before the whole government came, if I telegraphed some dude in some other country and he takes a ship across the water and tells somebody, hey, here's the money for Dave, bring his freaking boat back, right? If you jack my boat, I have the right in commerce to bring you into a freaking court, right? Even if you're from another country. So for somebody to say, oh, well, the states have the right to deal with all commerce, and so they can just throw some commerce on you, put you in a ninja trick and take your kids' house and car, even though you ain't on no freaking water, even if you're in the middle of the land. That's bullcrap. So God gave us common law in the Bible and the Constitution. He says, listen, I'll give you the power to have rulership over everything, just don't break my law, right? And then with his son, he says, I'll send my son to forgive you. Walk in the light, walk in the spirit, and my son's blood will cover you continuously. That's forgiveness. That's how we have like debt forgiveness. When the scripture says that Jesus died for our sins, right? He cut off the debt. What debt? The Bible says the wages of sin is death, right? The wages of sin is death. So the thing is we can have a contract with a company and we say, hey, or our person can have a contract with the company, the man doesn't. But then the
Correct.
way that the system is set up, the child birth certificate and social security number says, listen, I don't want to be fully responsible if I can't pay. I might get sick one day. In the common law, we say, I'm going to make it good no matter what. Even if I got to pay you a penny a day, I'm going to make you an offer and we're going to try to fix it and you give me mercy because that's what God will have us to do. The Bible tells you, if your brother owes you some money and you can't pay for it, don't take his house, don't take his freaking blanket where he ain't got nothing to sleep on because he can't pay. Forgive, right? So the thing is that when you look at what happens, these people in the state are saying, listen, well, you made a mistake, so we're going to take you in a private jail and get you to agree to it, and we're going to get our attorney to turn you over to our jurisdiction. We got to realize that not a dang freaking attorney has ever told us to fight jurisdiction. Where
Yeah,
where
that's
is
that's
the
amazing, isn't it? They
where
all
the
know
freak
that it's
is
the
it?
main question, Rule 12b-6.
Yeah. So how is it that no attorney? I mean, we can look in the traffic movement. We can look in the foreclosure movement. We can look in the freaking CPS movement. Why is there no attorney in the midst of us that ever just says like, dude, you really ain't got to freaking give me all this money. What about you just freaking say that he don't have jurisdiction and we'll just witness with affidavits of treason if this clown tries to tell you he does, acting without jurisdiction is treason. Let's just all write affidavits of treason in the whole courtroom and put everybody in jail. You ain't never
Yeah.
seen them do
And,
that.
and one thing I want to point out to everybody here, the importance of doing the DBA, and I want to make sure that people comprehend there's a difference between the DBA, which is you're doing business as the
Business
United
as.
States citizen. Okay,
Mhm.
you're doing the DBA on the name, all caps, through the Social Security account. This is different than an international business corporation, wherein you get to title your own corporation, just like Prince did, just like Samuel Clemens did. You can use a symbol, you can use a series of numbers, you can use another fictional name, whatever you want. Okay, that's an international business corporation. And that point there, you're going to start dealing with private banks. Okay, completely from the private side. You can establish yourself as a private banking association, thereby being able to operate as your own trust company as well. So when we do the DBA, we're referencing the United States citizen, which is the only person that they can hold against you. Okay, so when you do the DBA and you register that corporate entity, what you've done there is you've now established your own independent jurisdiction within their commercial jurisdiction, which is aside and different from the IBC, where you're establishing your own independent jurisdiction, independently, totally unlimited powers of contract on by yourself. Whereas if you're involving that person in their commercial system, you've limited your powers of contract by the regulations of operating that particular person. It's just like going to another foreign company, having the international business corporation, and deciding your own contract of whether you really want to do commerce within their system according to their regulations. Are they going to require you to provide a UCC lien in their system to operate your person? You have to think about this stuff. And that's your unlimited powers of contract. And we have to be able to recognize those different and separate from the DBA operating the United States 14th Amendment citizen, which is dual citizenship, both federal and state.
You know
Okay.
what's funny too is they
And that relates directly to the IBC. You hear about these people that have dual citizenship between the United States and Libya, United States and France, France and England. That's a dual citizen for commercial purposes, whereby they can get a passport from either country to do business with other countries that do contracts with those two countries. That's all that is. Period.
somebody asked about accounts without social security numbers. See, one thing that you got to look at too that's really scary when you understand it. It ain't scary for people who real, but it can be scary. When you use the all capital letter name and you have a bank account and the bank account says that it's a personal account, but they're using that entity name, all capital letters, all trade names are all capital letters. What's nuts is that trade name that's working, they say working in commerce, you're lying when you make a personal account when it's a business account. It's really a business. But what can be done is you can have that all capital letter name, create a PMA out of it. See, some of my haters went online. I was like, look, David Jose, I see David Jose Romero Watson PMA. That's a ens legis name, PMA made corporate, and you can have a foreign 98 attached to it, and that number that's connected to it can allow for it to take care of certain things. You can't do physical business in that name, but you can have another number and a corporation for business. But you can run a PMA that can control your entities and stuff can be foreign. So when your property goes into those things, it is foreign and outside of United States jurisdiction, which is deep.
Correct.
Go ahead.
And what David's talking about here is that when you set up that DBA in your own PMA, that DBA is allowing you to access the benefits. You know, being able to go to the hospital and have an insurance card and have the insurance pay for it But you got to stay on top of it yourself and know what those duties are when you're contracting. And also remember that authorized representative. Authorized representative is a unique loophole that you can use as a intended beneficiary of both the Social Security account as card holder of the person who owns the account, which belongs technically to the Federal Reserve.
The person who holds the
Exactly.
account, not the man or
Yes.
woman, the person.
I don't hold
Yep.
the account. I am not the person. I am card holder of the person who has the account. I hold the card that has his name on it that matches with that account. Therefore, I am the authorized
I move the
representative,
chess
or
piece.
I give the authorized signature according to the Social Security Administration for Keith Orland Little. Okay? And so we can use that by putting it in our PMA and being able to use that person for the benefit side of our nationality through our nativity, and still construct our international business corporation and create a second person, third persons, fourth persons, fifth persons to do all those other businesses
Yep. Yep. And
outside and
that's why
extraneous
wealthy people
from the Uniform Commercial Code.
that's why the very wealthy people's businesses are not paying a crazy amount of taxes because they understand the difference between the person and the people. And so even like when you look at like the Fourth Amendment, right? A lot of people get confused thinking a person is a man and it's not. You'll see where the Fourth Amendment will say the people shall be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. So is the people and their house the same thing? No. Is the people and their effects the same thing? No. What about their papers? No. So what about the people and their persons? We can have many different persons. Person comes from the word persona, which means like a mask or a office or
Your
a
character.
condition or a status. Yep. So somebody can say, I am a king. That would be your status. You are a man. You are not a king. That is a condition you hold for the time being. But there's going to be a time that you are not going to be a king. But there's never going to be a time that you are not a man, right? There's never going to be a time that you're not a woman. And so when we are fighting uh, in these silly courts, a lot of times they get us to confuse the definition of person and people. So they'll write a statute that says any person who CPS feels like they should take their child should give up their child. And you don't realize child is the birth certificate, person is the corporate entity. So if you're doing business and commerce, and this is what's funny about this United States stuff, there is a court case, and I can't remember what it is now, but it says that anytime a United States citizen leaves the District of Columbia, he is automatically acting in commerce. So
Yes.
if you leave the District of Columbia, which is DC, which is the United States, and you walk away to the actual real landmass state, you are automatically acting in commerce, and they feel like they have jurisdiction to take your child, which is the paper. But because we don't know, they go taking physical babies, and it's a word trick
Exactly.
that we have become hip to now, and we know, so they can no longer hold us.
And see, in reality, what it is, and this is where we think about the authentications. Your county registrar gets a hospital statement of live birth. And what he does is, first thing he does is he stamps that sucker and certifies it. What does certify mean? It doesn't mean verify. Certify is a financial term wherein he monetizes it. He puts a financial value to it, a debt value to it. Okay. And when he does that, he has to deposit it into an account because now he's put a value to it. That account that he's depositing into it is directly related to the Federal Reserve. the
Is that
IMF,
the 1.8
because
1.8 million the first year or something, and then 1 million every year after? How they filled
something
that
like
the
that.
trust account? Yeah. Title
But
5,
what
I think.
happens is that's the original account, okay? From there, that certificate, that's known as an abstract of information, okay? And the abstract of information is the one that's going to have the handwritten information on it. Thereby, the state receives a copy of that abstract information, is certified as true and correct on the face of the record, and they provide a certificate, and that is a bonded piece of paper that has that information conveyed from this paper to this paper. The format on this paper is different than the format on this paper. One is a document, one is a financial instrument.
Security, yeah.
Now,
Wow.
that is the certificate of live birth. The United States, as part of the dual citizenship of the 14th Amendment, Washington, D.C., you were just talking about, has to create the same thing, another certificate, matching. Matching. Just like the state has to provide a certificate into the fund, the federal government has to match it. That's what's going on. They're providing a domestic fund or a domestic instrument and a foreign instrument. United States is
Woo.
foreign to the state. The states are
Yep.
foreign to the United States. Okay? So now you have a person that can operate in commerce in the states, or you have a person that you are authorized representative of to operate in commerce among the states.
Mm.
When you get both of those, long form and short form, authenticated and deposited back in with the original statement of live birth at the county registrar, you've now ported all citizens into the correct port, and the one is the master of the two.
Mm. Fire.
So that's why it's important. Just like I said, when you do the PMA, it's going to be structured the same thing. You're going to have one master, and he's going to be master of all the persons.
Mm-hmm.
That's how your PMA's got to be structured. The same way the government structures it. Send those fuckers back to port. Now I'm operating in commerce, and they're ported to me.
That's fire. That's some powerful stuff. I mean, it's crazy how much knowledge is being accumulated by the people right now and how quickly things are moving and how information that was hidden from us is now coming back, and it's like God has opened the floodgates and just let us see stuff that we, when you have, it's kind of like it's hard for people to imagine when they think about the tyranny we've seen and the fraud we've seen, and sometimes people can't believe that people could just try so hard to enslave us. But you think about this. When you think about the Vatican, and they have a saying that they have, and I forgot how to say it in Latin, but the saying is, I came, I saw, and I conquered. Most of us are just trying to figure
Discovery
out how to
doctrine.
eat some. Yeah, some of us think we're trying to eat some good food and hang out a little bit and enjoy our family, have a house, a couple of cars, a hot rod that does wheelies, and a dog, right? And we think that's all we want, and we just want to have some fun. And if we're religious or have faith, we praise God, you know, and then we leave stuff to our kids, and our kids have a good life, right? But most of us can't imagine that there's a group of people who wake up every day, look to see what they can find, and try to figure out how they're going to conquer it. They will never
Yep,
be happy with just enough power to control their own family and their own life. They want to
yep,
dictate policy on everybody else's family and everybody else's life. And as soon
yep.
as we
George,
realize that, we can believe it. We can, once we believe that crazy stuff is happening, we can just deal with it then. It ain't no big deal
yep,
no more. Like if you know somebody want to kill you, you can kind of roll around with that and understand what's up, right?
yep.
You know how to deal with
George,
it. You're like, okay, I'm not gonna go around you. I don't want to hang with you. No, you can't get in my car. No, we can't meet. No, you can't have my phone number, right? And the thing is that this is one of the issues, is that we have been desensitized to what's really happening in a way. We have been made prideful, where many times when somebody comes and tell us, people don't want to hear it. And
Yep.
then when you're trying to save them, they will partner with the evil because they just can't believe what God said was going to happen. And it's happening. But I'm happy and I'm
Yep.
thankful to God that people are finding out, and good people like yourself are teaching. I know I said, man, I need to go to like your grammar school and have you freaking just break down like look, dude, take me like I don't know nothing. Go back to just start off with noun, start off with subject, predicate, whatever. Let's just go
Yeah.
all the way back. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should have you go all the way back and just start teaching us grammar from the beginning. Like I know Mitch also, he's very big on grammar, and there's a few others,
Yep.
not many of us know grammar or anything like that, like you guys do, but we need to take the time out to go learn it and study, because these words are important. And a lot of times when we look at these people, they'll freaking write something right in front of our face that was taught to us backward in school, that would
Yep.
tell exactly what they're doing if we just understood English.
Yep.
But
And
because we don't understand English.
George Corbin said it right. Knowledge is power. And I've told people a long time now that mankind's most powerful weapon, his most powerful tool, is right here. And if we just
Mm-hmm.
learn how to use this, and the best way to use it is to break it down in its simplest form.
Yep.
I just did a
Amen.
video last night on making your own code, and when we learn how to break things down in its simplest form, we see things in its simplest form. And that's what we really need to comprehend here, is that anytime we see these simple words, in, on, of, at, or, even two little words, those are the words that are going to make the biggest difference, because they're used in specific context.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Bill Clinton said in trial, in deposition one time, something to the effect that, well, that would depend on what your definition of is,
Yep.
because there's technically 21 definitions of is, and they all depend on what context they're being presented in, and the multiples of context that they can be projected in,
Yep.
and so we really have to comprehend those words. Like I said, um, it all comes down to not just the words, but the symbology, every little dot, every little space, every little mark, every little space, because you can have
Jot
the
and
same
every
mark in a different
every jot
place
and
within a
tittle.
graph. Yeah. And so we have to get back down to our intent.
Yep.
And
You
the
know what?
intent of everything is supposed to be the goodwill of man, period.
The the bar members have heard us with that, because and schools, because it's funny, the Bible talks about the simplicity of the gospel. The Bible talks about, before I got started in this whole movement, I thought about what God said in the Bible about making the vision plain so that the one who sees it can run with it. The thing is, when you're fighting big giant companies, or private entities that's acting like government and all that stuff, what ends up happening is that we get to the point where we want to sound smart and we want to use the biggest words in the world, and this is what the bar member trick us into doing. And we have arguments and we got to say words that we would never say in common English. And what ends up happening is that we lose focus on like the bills of rights that declare that they can't do something they're doing in one sentence, very short. And rather than making them show us with simple English how we gave them the power to do something, what we will do many times is we'll allow them to get us caught up in words that have a meaning that have nothing to do with what's in the law. So they take us from what we don't know to where they want us to go, rather than taking the situation from simple things that we know and showing plainly and clearly how people can't do certain things. And so I've realized, like, man, when I first got in the law movement, and people are like, yeah, well, you have to understand that you have parents patriae and blah 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 blah. And now that I'm a little bit older, and I've been in this thing studying a lot for 2 years, I'm like, man, parents patriae. Show me what article, what section and paragraph of the Constitution we gave you that power, since all power came from us. I'll
Yep,
wait.
exactly.
You know, I ain't having this big stupid long argument.
Yeah,
Hey, well, we believe.
and that goes directly to the point of this whole video, brothers, sisters. That goes directly to it. They cannot subject you against any of your objections. Period. For anything. The Social Security Act itself is what's got you involved in commerce. It has nothing to do with insurance. It has nothing to do with protecting you and your, quote, children, your little ones. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with commerce. And
Hey,
that's why I
did you
said,
ever?
in that preamble where it states that the intent, the purpose, we're going to get back down to the intent, synonymous with purpose. The
Mhm.
purpose of the Social Security Act itself is to provide a Social Security board to raise revenue.
Revenue.
There is no other purpose beyond that.
You know what's funny though? Where in the Constitution did we tell them to go raise revenue for themselves?
Exactly. Oh, and that's another thing. Let me look this up here. Um, where is it?
Hey, if you can pull up a separate window, pull up CAPTA, CAPTA, and look at the not the special law. What the freak is it called? Look at the public law. Look at the public law for CAPTA in the beginning, where it says limitations, and everybody's gonna fall the freak out.
Public law for what?
The public law for CAPTA, what you said earlier, that's where one of them is. It's the CAPTA public law. When you read the section that says limitations, you're gonna fall the freak out. Everybody is.
I'll see if I can find it here.
You are going to laugh. I mean, it's so bad that these dang attorneys know darn well, if they read the public law, what it really says. And they know when before they get out like the first paragraph, they should know they're just doing wrong and it's just complete sin, but they won't even tell us. It's just that dirty.
Oh shit, I lost it. Let me see here.
Public law for CAPTA.
Captain?
CAPTA is C, capital C, capital
Oh,
A, capital P, capital T, capital A. Child Abuse Prevention something act.
CAPTA?
Yeah, it might as well be the Child Abuse Possible Trafficking Act.
Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act.
Okay, now look at the beginning of the freaking act, and you're going to see on the side it's going to say limitations on the side of the PDF. I think it's on the left hand side if I remember. Watch this. Talk about original legislative intent. It is nasty.
No, that's not the right one.
Oh, look in your browser where it says like photo, video, I mean images, video, PDF, something like that. You probably find it in PDF. But it got to be the public law. Or if you write in public law
Okay.
CAPTA, you're going to see
93rd
CAPTA, and then
Congress.
you found it.
I think so.
Watch this. It's going to be crazy. Can you see where it says limitations? Oh, it sounded like you saw it. That
Well,
laugh is what you get.
I'll get back to it because I'm not finding. I use a different. I use a different.
Browser.
Yeah, I don't use Google or anything. I use Brave, and it gives me
Do you
totally
see?
different windows.
Do you see where at the top when it starts saying who is for annuitant and stuff like that?
Let me try something else here. Well, that's under U.S. Code 42, Section 1506.
Yep. So look at where it says 1506, all the way down. I think where it says 1509 or something like that. What do you see? If you look at the Title 42 version, remember the Title 42 version is what the editorial compilation, so they change it. The public law one is gonna tell the whole dang truth, and it's gonna be nasty.
I might have to come back and I'll make a note and I'll come back and do a video on that one.
Man, when you see this one, it's going to tell you that the whole chapter, the limitations of it is that it's for annuitants that are eligible to work in the program that are retired federal employees. So they're
Wow.
running a whole system on us for federal employees, and none of us are federal employees.
Hey guys, just so you comprehend something about the Social Security Act, it was originally titled the Economic Security Act. Just so you know, a little tidbit of information. You know,
Oh my
something
God.
just shove up their ass. They changed it for a reason. It still has the same intent.
Crazy. And
So
they
anyway,
call
guys,
it insurance plan. I'm like, yeah,
yep,
you taking people's kids based off an insurance policy, huh? Okay.
they're insuring their risks in operating in the financial system known as fraud, Federal Reserve
Yep.
accounting unit denominations.
Mm-hmm.
So
Terrible. And under the
anyway, guys,
Clearfield
I gotta
Trust
go get
Doctrine.
something to eat.
All right, I will catch you later. I got to go eat some spaghetti too. I will catch you guys later. Y'all stay out of trouble. Love the heck out of y'all. Big bro, I thank you so much for the education, man. You always lifting me up and filling me up with knowledge. I appreciate you. If you can do a video soon and break us down some grammar, and I just thank you for being the bomb, man. I thank you for being patient with those of us who don't have a knowledge on your level yet. And you always teach us bit by bit, you know, line upon line upon line, precept upon precept, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, to help us to be strong, man. So I'm thankful that there's guys that are as brilliant as you that also have a heart to teach the people with patience and kindness and with love, man. You are the best, and I appreciate you.
All the glory goes to him, brother. You know that. I'm
Amen.
just doing.
Amen.
So long as ye follow my way, ye shall be blameless. And I'm blameless as far as I see, brother.
Amen. Amen. All right, big
All
bro. Well,
right.
I'm gonna let you eat. I'm gonna go get some food too. I love all y'all. Y'all be cool. Thanks for letting me come on, bro. Y'all stay out of trouble. Peace.
Yeah, yeah. Love you too, brother. Same to you. And anyway, guys, just so you know, I love you. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. I don't think Dave would either. So have a great night.